your regular fix of the best guests from the world of data and analytics. This is The Data Mix with Brian Bouden and George Beaton.
Hey everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of The Data Mix, and we are here in Orlando, Florida at Qlik Connect with Qlik CEO Mike Capone. I feel like I should say hello, even though I've seen you several times already today.
Let's do it for the audience.
Let's do it. And the floor, Mike, let's start with the floor. How are you feeling about this whole vibe? It feels so nice and tight and compact, and everyone's getting to know each other well, so how are you feeling about all that?
I feel great. Look, you called it. Like we got the exact right size space. The energy is great. You can feel it. Like I feel it standing here. You know, the energy. I walked the floor earlier, said hello to all the exhibitors and everything, and they're thrilled. They're thrilled. It's coming off really well. They're getting lots of traffic, and our keynote this morning went well, so it's feeding into the excitement here. So all great.
Well, we'll get onto the keynote in a second, but I think that warm feeling definitely is present. I feel that. And not just the physical aspect, right? There's a lot of energy in the room, and it's always great to see. It's one of the best things about being at Connect. But moving on to the keynote, wow, what a reception for that this morning! It was quite something to be a part of that. And when the ripples of applause come out, it never gets old. So, for those of us who maybe didn't see the live, what went on this morning? What were some of the major announcements that happened here at Connect?
Yeah, well, the good news is we did record it, so it'll eventually be available for replay. So I do encourage people who are interested to go watch it. But look, I mean, there's a couple things. One is just us explaining how we see the world, right? And the way we see the world is maybe different than others see the world. Everyone's talking about agents, yay, agents, right? But the reality is agents don't work unless you have really good data, and really good analytics underpinning them. And so just resetting everybody to say, look, we understand, but you got to do the work, you got to get the data right. And then just jumping into our new product announcements we're really excited about. One was our Agentic framework, which is different than others. It's great. Some application providers are talking about, making restaurant reservations, things like that. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about end-to-end agentic capabilities across our entire platform. That platform, data integration, data governance, data quality, and analytics. And the second was Qlik Open Lakehouse. So the ability to actually harness Iceberg, tech capabilities, and really deliver AI at a better cost point. Yeah,
and both of those things are really important. I think it's really important to reference that word agentic again. It's a bit like we talked about AI in depth with the AI Council here last year. Agentic is the word of the year this year. But like you said, it means something different for Qlik. And I think a lot of people were hoping coming into the conference that we would hear about that magical join between structured and unstructured and true to form. And I guess that's more what agentic means from Qlik's perspective, right? It's really tying those things together to make them a seamless experience. So just talk a little bit about that for me, about how that process has been for you and how it's gone.
It's always been the vision, right? So, and thank you for bringing it up because it is a big part of our story. And again, it starts with agents don't work unless you've got good data. And where are you going to get good data? And we've had Qlik Answers in the market, the unstructured data product for quite some time now. But now we've announced the ability to leverage structured and unstructured data together, and we demoed some really good examples of that. For example, taking structured data, your order management system, taking unstructured from your social feeds, etc., putting that together to make smarter decisions and trigger agents. That's really, really important, and you can do that now across the entire platform. So we think we've got something incredibly unique in the market. And what you're seeing and hearing from the people that you're talking to, Brian, is just that excitement.
And I think that word seamless really strikes me because before, when you've acquired and you've integrated and you've white labeled, you've done that super efficiently. And you've been very good with promising and delivering. And it feels, again, with that Qlik Answers, we've got a massive head start with having a lot of that platform from a physical perspective in place. So I was really excited to see some of the behind the scenes stuff yesterday in terms of dropping an app into that Answers framework and all of a sudden being able to see that structured and unstructured base together. I think it's something that's really exciting. And I think the last thing I'll just mention on that is that it was super cool that you're utilizing the existing Answers framework. So it's not like learning a new thing. It's just a native progression of what's going on. So you must work a lot on that stuff, right? And making sure it's a seamless experience rather than just new functionality for for the market and for the sake of it and for the analysts.
Completely. And look, it's a religion for us, right? We don't buy a capability or a company unless we know how we're going to integrate it and make it seamless in our platform. It's really, really important to us to be able to do that. And it's funny, I was just with an analyst firm right before here, and they were complimenting us. They said, well, we've never seen a company so fervent about making sure that the acquisitions become seamless and part of your platform and then sticking to it. Everybody says they're going to do it, but then things get hard and they give up and they stop, and it ends up being this thing over here, and we don't. And so Kindy was a great example of us being able to do that. Upsolver, which we acquired in January, is going to be another example of us really doing that. And that's the reason we don't launch the product until we're ready. So, we'll say, like, it's not till July, but that's because we're going to finish making it native to our platform.
I think that having that native experience is a massive thing, and I think again you do a terrific job of like telling us about the logo that you've acquired and then giving us something that we can see that just feels like Qlik.
Yeah.
And I think that's the big thing, right? It feels like Qlik. I mean, and in terms of that, like other announcement that you talked about, like Upsolver, Iceberg, these might be words that feel slightly alien to some of the analytics market because it's a bit, the architecture is deeper and what it does is faster, but some of the figures that were quoted on there in terms of like, the performance impact and that type of thing. Tell us a little bit about that, because that middle layer is incredibly important to what Qlik sees as the future, right?
It's incredibly important. And look, one of the things that's happening right now, as you all know, is AI is getting expensive, right? I think companies are starting to see the 12 months worth of bills of trying to build out their AI infrastructure, and they're saying, wow, like this is unsustainable. Yeah. And so we have to find the right technology for the right use cases. And so Iceberg, Apache Iceberg, and then kind of that kind of open source format is a great way to leverage a lower cost of basically storage to be able to actually store data and have it accessible for AI at increasingly high volume. So we used to talk about being our data integration platform, doing 17 million rows a second and we thought that was great. And now we can do hundreds of millions of rows a second. We can stream data off of mobile devices. We can do things. Where are you going to store that? You can't store it in a database. It's crazy, right? So it's a great way to do that is Iceberg, and more and more we're also seeing this this fight for independence. Like, so sometimes departments now want to build their own data pipelines, right?
Sure.
They don't want to wait for IT to go do it, and so the ability to actually, like with Qlik Talent Cloud, to be able to set up an AI data pipeline, store it in an Iceberg-like format. And then use Qlik on top of it, enables them really, really quickly.
Exactly, and I think, hearing the keynote, I think a lot of people are very keen to adapt their schedules now to understand a bit more about how all that flow works with the whole Agentic side and Upsolver. But I think the buzz in the room was terrific this morning, so congrats on that. That was really great. In terms of the way that we incorporate that into the packaging, Mike, I think that's the question that's on other people's lips as well. Is that we've now heard the announcements, and we've obviously just been through a bit of a process with capacity and then adding other things into the packaging. So how do you see that from a kind of holistic view then, how that's all going to hang together?
Yeah, we want transparency, right? So we want customers to really understand what they're paying for and never pay for something they're not using, right? And that's really what capacity pricing is about, is getting customers to a place where you pay for what you use, and if you need more, then you can go get more, but you can also choose to control it in a way, and we give you all the tools to control it. So we are super transparent about how we're going to price and package things. And the nice thing is our products work together really, really well. Yeah. But we're completely open, right? So if you choose to use our data platform but not our analytics platform, totally fine. The opposite is totally fine as well, and our pricing reflects that. Yeah.
And I think it's required in the market nowadays. As more component parts are added, people need to be able to buy that package sort of formula. I think is coming back to the market an awful lot now. So first it was subscription, now it's packaging. People don't want to have to go out and understand what all these disparate parts are. They just want to be able to click and go, if you'll pardon the pun. But I think the combination of the packaging and the add-ons are quite strategic now. I think we see less of them, but they provide a lot of value when you put them, right? So again, what's the process been like for that in terms of working that out, what goes into packaging? And
well, we talk to our customers, right? So we say, how would you buy? We have an executive advisory board. They're here. They're actually meeting right now. And when we roll out one of these big initiatives, where we even trying to tweak our pricing, we talk to our customers and say, look, do you want to bundle it? Do you think it'd be better to buy individually? And if we bundle it, what would it look like, and how much are you willing to pay? And then that informs what we do. Qlik Talent Cloud is a great example. where like for a while we sold data integration and data governance separately, but customers started to say, look, it's one thing to us, right? Like I don't want to actually buy a data integration tool like which was formerly Attunity, right? But now it's Qlik Data Integration and data governance. Like, just give me one bundle.
Yeah.
So that's what we do.
Yeah. Right? And the feedback loop for that is super important as well. You mentioned the customers, but again, I know obviously from first hand you have a very, very strong partner community that we'll talk about those groups in a little bit, but like the partner community has a real influence on what you do, right? And I know of several occasions where feedback has been given and feedback has been acted on, shall we say. So, and I sat down with Drew last night and we just sat and chatted, and the thing that I really liked about it is the open and inclusive culture that Qlik has, that I can do this with you. And Brendan's not here today, unfortunately. But I think the Qlik leadership are really open, so that's a thing that you're still keeping top of mind, right, all the time.
Yeah, we have multiple levels of feedback. You see it on some of the ambassador meeting luminaries. This is another great one. We have all these enthusiastic customers and partners, but also very vocal. Right? They're not, and we choose them that way intentionally. Like we want the ones that are going to speak up. We don't want ones to say, "Oh, we love Qlik." Yeah, I love Qlik, but here's what I need, right? And what you saw today, by the way, time series.
Yes.
Right back. Like, how long have you guys been telling us about that? Right? So here it is, right? So we do listen to customers. Not always fun. Like sometimes.
Sure.
But it works, and I think today you're seeing a lot of the results of that.
I think the levels of that with the advisory boards as well are all feeding into each other, and I think it'd be remiss not to mention again the external input as well. Like we talk about the AI Council, which was a big announcement last year, and that has carried on at pace. So tell us a little bit about how all that has continued to move in conjunction, because there's a lot of moving parts here, right?
A lot of moving parts, yeah. So you talk about our executive advisory board, luminaries, partner ambassadors, and then we do have an AI council. The nice thing about that is it's completely non-business focused, right? So that group of people, they come from academia, they come from government. And they're a little bit of our conscience, right? Like I talk about this all the time, that there is a moral obligation that comes with building AI, right? And doing it responsibly. And it's not just a capitalist exercise. And early on, we recognized that we wanted to be best in class at that component of it. Qlik, founded in Sweden, like we really believe in doing the right thing for society. And so we formed this AI council a couple of years ago, and it's become part of our heart, like really deep embedded in Qlik. They're all here now. And what they do is they tell us, like, here's how you should be thinking about AI, here's how government regulation is going to unfold, here's how society is thinking about it. And then, here's how you think about building your products to make sure that you account for this. So they've been great. We're going to continue doing it. And if people are really interested, we do all kinds of webcasts and things like that with them. So we'd be happy to publicize that as well.
I think it's a stamp of authority on the market as well. Like the position, the way that you are, having that external body is like super important to be able to show to your customers, like, we're taking this whole thing seriously.
That's right.
You talk Agentic, you talk AI, again, lots of words to a lot of people, but having that sort of external input is like really important.
Totally
so
good. We don't know it all. Like we're not that arrogant to think that we know everything.
No, I get that, and I think one of the other big things from last year again was, obviously we'd moved on a little bit from the talent acquisition, and there's a word that came up again today that piqued my interest again, and that was trust. So again, this was a big topic on stage today, trust scoring, and having that sort of dynamic metadata layer and pushing it much further down the stack so that trust scoring becomes an intrinsic part of the way that you work. It's not an optional tick box exercise anymore, right? So what have you seen in the market that's prompted you to really deep dive on that side of things?
Well, everybody's jumping in the deep end of the pool, right? So Agentic is the latest, and then everybody just starts building stuff, right? And here we go again. And the thing is, agents aren't going to be any good unless your data is good, unless you can trust your data. And so everything we talk about is, AI is going to be great, but make sure what you feed it is great, right? And so our trust score is a way for us to interrogate data and tell you, this data is consistent enough, it's comprehensive enough, to be able to use in your AI models. And then the Agentic framework, the reason our Agentic framework is important, a lot of application providers are talking about Agentic, right? But okay, that's your static data in your CRM system or your IT service system. What we're talking about is all these data pipelines that you build, having agents sit on top of them, monitoring the quality, the consistency of that data. Data is going to drift. Something's going to happen. You want to intercept and intervene when there's a change in your data stream that's kicking off all these agents or doing all this kind of automation, and understand that real time.
Yeah.
That's why the agents have to work across the entire platform. Just having an agent on your CRM system, it's not that compelling. It's just not.
Yeah. I think another thing that I took out this morning was the conditional rules part of that as well, and like being the agents being able to sort of assess those rules, pass the trust score, then pass it up the chain. And I think this is something that it's pretty revolutionary when you think about the amount of people that are usually in that role of like satisfying that data, hitting the quality level, promoting it, authorizing it. To be able to rule set that, I think is that something that's been like on your mind as a company for a while since, and I'm guessing since before the talent acquisition, that was one of the main baselines for going there, right?
Honestly, like when I joined Qlik in 2018, you probably remember well, this was the vision we set out to do. You don't do 14 acquisitions in 7 years unless you have like a vision for what you want to be. And it really was like building this end-to-end trusted data platform where you had data integration, governance, quality, transformation, AI, all in the same platform. So that's what we built. Yeah, it's taken us some time, and not everything was available when we wanted it to be available. Some of it took time to build, but we knew this moment was coming. So why not get out in front of it? And we think what we've ended up with is something unique. And when you look at some of the newer stuff we've done around structured and unstructured data, as well as what we're now doing with Iceberg, like I think we're ahead. We're ahead.
And again, you said end to end there, and I find that fascinating just because trust score started pretty deep. So actually, to travel up the stack, I think some people are asking questions about like traveling up the stack, so that when you get to your analytics experience, is that going to travel up the stack? So there's the open question for you. Do you see that the idea of trust score moving all the way through, first of all, to analytics, visualization, maybe out the other end, automation and agentic as well, to just be able to push everything, trust everything that you're using?
There's no reason why we can't absolutely take that across the platform. We started with, the demand was around AI and data quality, data pipelines, but certainly going up to the stack to analytics, it's going to be important. I'm sure that's somewhere in the roadmap.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool, and like having a sneak peek at the whole agentic thing that's happening at the front end of that is really exciting as well. So like there are obviously lots of announcements, lots of technical excitement as well, but switching gears just to finish off here, I always like to talk to you about community, right? And I always like to talk to you about the people, both inside and outside of Qlik. So you obviously have some incredible teams that have been pushing all of these things internally. But again, a word for like too many groups to mention, like the MVPs, the partner ambassadors, the social ambassadors, any other that you can think of. It's been a crazy ride in terms of the amount of people that are just so locked in to Qlik in terms of like that's their thing.
Well, and what amazes me is that people like you move around, but you stay loyal to Qlik, right? There's so many people here that use Qlik. My last company used Qlik, or I brought Qlik to my new company, and we're unlike other companies. It's like, all right, you're a company ABC and you go to the Tableau user conference because they use Tableau. Then you're a company XYZ, you go to the Power BI, the Microsoft user. Like it's not that way. Like here, it's like, no, I'm Qlik. Like I define myself as a BI AI person by using Qlik. So that to me is super important. And then look, the other people I thank obviously are our employees, right? My team. Most of them have been with me since the beginning, and there's an amazing team underneath those people. And they've done all this, right? I had very little to do with it. I give them a little bit of a direction and then drop to the races. And so it is great. We're small but mighty. We have 3,000 people in the company. We work really hard, but this is the reward. We get to see all of this.
I think there's an immense sense of pride there, but also people are very, very humble. When I ever speak to someone internally in Qlik, they always know exactly what their piece in the puzzle is. And I think that's a really nice thing to be a part of as well. I mean, obviously being part of the partner ambassador ecosystem is an incredible thing to come back that year to year. But the other thing I wanted to mention this year, something I particularly noticed, you can't see it on the board here, but some of the media partners that are here, we've got like Data Voyagers, Drinks and Data, El Neon, Tech Field Day, like the traversal across these groups, everyone really knows each other and really everyone, sometimes you just get people just coming in and being analysts, but it feels different here, right? How do you think that's matured over the years? Because to me, it feels different having become part of that loop more recently than some of these guys.
It's part of the connected fabric, right? It's funny. Qlik is a way of bringing disparate people, just like we bring disparate data together and make sense of it. We draw interest from disparate constituencies, disparate groups, And what you see is, you've got long-time people solving big corporate hairy problems, but look at, like, I'm looking over there, like the impact. We've got our social responsibility, stuff with the UN on climate change and human trafficking. And like, it's just a beautiful cross-section of interest from different groups that comes together. And, here we are in the media zone, and you can see the diversity here. It's great. It's one, I mean, I'm just very lucky. I'm just very lucky to be CEO of this company and have this kind of community. Yeah,
I mean, I totally do feel that. And you say the word community, there must have been lots of things that have happened over the last year that have made you super proud in terms of the wider community, but also, initiatives like Qlik Cares have come around as well. And I'm yet to speak to Julie, but I'm hoping to grab some time with her. You must be, like, again, immensely proud of the way that these programs don't just stand still, but they evolve.
That's right.
Right? And that, again, that must be a conscious decision, an internal push to make sure that those things get the time and effort that they deserve, right?
Yeah, well, for sure. Look, I mean, one thing I'll say is, like, that long predated me. The company's founded in Sweden. And there's always been this desire to make sure that we're not only doing good as a company, but doing good for the world. And that's stuck with us from those early days. And even here, you see, like, we got the, all the sustainability and everything. We raise money for charity. And look, we're not a big giant company. We don't write big giant checks, but every single person in Qlik, like, gives time. They give time to charities. We give them time off to go do that. We give our software in kind to solve really hard problems for not-for-profits. Could be water shortages in Africa. Could be human trafficking, as I talked about. And what, a lot of times when I talk to people, they say that's why I love working at Qlik, because Qlik Cares is what we say. Qlik Cares.
I mean, that's a great place. And I think the last thing I just want to talk to you about here is so much information and data in this conference, right? But if you had like a couple of 2 or 3 core messages to take away from this year, not necessarily like the physicals of the keynote, but what are your themes that you're thinking about this year in terms of what we're presenting to people here?
Yeah, look, I think it's pretty simple. Like, a year ago, all this hype around AI, I think the good news is everybody's woken up to the fact that this is not, this isn't just plugging a model and you're done, right? So the good news is I think that cycle's kind of passed, and now everybody's understanding that there's work to be done here. And then the second thing is lean in. Like, the good news is people are here because they get it. Like, you don't come to a Qlik conference and not understand the importance of data analytics and AI in the world. But now we got to lead. Like, you got to lead. You got to push your company forward. AI is not optional. It's not. It's just not. AI is a necessity. And with all the uncertainty in the world, it's even more a necessity. So go get it.
Yeah, I think, like, Qlik has shown the way forward in terms of embedding that AI within their internal processes in the back end, and also exposing that to users at the right level as well. So I think it's been a big period for Qlik over the last year.
Thank you.
Well, look, Mike, I know that you're like rushing and you're going from place to place, so I'm going to give you a few minutes back to be able to recover from there. I really appreciate it, and thanks everyone for watching. This was a live episode of the Data Mix from Qlik Connect in Orlando, Florida, and we will see you next time. Cheers.